Good morning, sixth graders. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take out a sheet of lined paper. You can use a notebook piece of paper as long as you cut off the edges so that you don't have all the little fringy pieces on there. You're going to write your name in the upper right-hand corner of the paper, today's date. You'll find that on the whiteboard if you're not sure. And then on the first line, you're going to write down News ELA, as it's shown right up here at the top, News ELA. If you need to pause this right now to do so, please go right ahead. So as you can see, this is a grade level 7, so right about where I would like you to be at this time of year. The title for this article is U.S. Strikes Syrian Airbase After Chemical Attack on Civilians. It's an interesting picture. So it starts here. Palm Beach, Florida. On Tuesday, the Syrian government attacked its own citizens with chemical weapons. This crossed a red line for President Donald Trump. In response, the U.S. military launched 59 cruise missiles at a Syrian airfield on Thursday. It was President Donald Trump's first major military action since taking office. The strike hit a Syrian airfield at 4:40 a.m. local time, Friday, 8:40 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. Russia supports Syria's government, but the United States does not. For more than 6 years, a civil war has gone on between the Syrian government, rebel fighters, and the Islamic State and extremist group. Russia has helped the Syrian government fight against moderate rebel fighters that the United States has supported. The U.S. said it had tried to avoid hurting Russians in the strikes. Officials said that the U.S. alerted Russia of the attack before it happened. That's shady. U.S. blames Russia for not stopping Assad. But U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, in charge of relations with other countries, emphasized that the U.S. was upset with Russia. The United States and Russia signed an agreement in 2013 that said Russia would help Syria destroy its chemical weapons. Tillerson said Russia failed in its responsibility to stop Assad from using these weapons. More than 450,000 people have been killed in Syria's civil war, and millions have fled to neighboring countries to escape the violence. The U.S. said it had received evidence that the Syrian government carried out chemical attacks on the town of Khan Sheikhoun, killing 86 people. Chemical weapons are designed to inflict maximum pain on humans. Trump said the U.S. attack was meant to show Syria's President Bashar al-Assad that he cannot get away with using these weapons. It was a slow and brutal death for so many. Even beautiful babies were cruelly murdered in this very barbaric attack, Trump said to reporters in Palm Beach. Tonight, I ordered an airstrike on the airfield in Syria, from where the chemical attack was launched. Republicans support Trump's missile strike. The president launched the missiles without getting approval from Congress. Trump received support for the strike from Republicans, but Democrats were hesitant to back the president. Congressman Ed Royce, a California Republican, said that chemical weapon attacks against innocent people would not be tolerated. Assad was warned repeatedly by the U.S. and the UN, he said. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a Democrat from New York, said Assad should know that he will pay a price when he commits such horrific acts, but he added that Trump needed to include Congress in the conversation. Pentagon spokesman Captain Jeff Davis said the U.S. military took extraordinary measures to avoid killing or injuring innocent people. The airfield was also targeted because it was used to store chemical weapons, Davis said. Also, U.S. intelligence determined that aircraft from that field were used to carry out Tuesday's chemical weapons attack. U.S. officials said that Syrian aircraft infrastructure and equipment had been severely damaged or destroyed. The damage is still being assessed, though. Russian diplomat Vladimir Safronkov warned the U.S. earlier on Thursday. He said that there would be negative consequences if the U.S. carried out military strikes on Syria in response to the attack. U.S. did not attack after Syria used chemical weapons in 2013. The U.S. first considered military action after chemical attacks by Assad's government in 2013. At the time, President Obama was hesitant to order military action. He worried about the consequences of getting involved in another ongoing conflict that would likely outlive his presidency. It appeared that the U.S. strike was an isolated event. It was meant to send a message to Assad. Still, Trump's next move remained uncertain in the aftermath of the attack on Assad's base. Things have changed since 2013. There is a chance that tensions could get higher if the U.S. decided to get more involved. Russian troops are fighting with Syrian forces and could be struck by accident. Syria also now owns Russian air defense systems that can shoot down U.S. military planes. Strike was the first time U.S. targeted Syrian government. The U.S. began military operations in Syria in 2014. This is not the first time it has bombed the war-ravaged country. However, this operation was different. It was the first U.S. operation to target the Syrian government. Until Thursday's strikes, the U.S. had targeted only Islamic State fighters and groups loyal to al-Qaeda. Islamic State, also known as ISIS, and al-Qaeda are both terrorist groups. No military action had been taken against Assad and his forces since the civil war broke out in 2011. Senator John McCain said he and several other Republicans had recommended that Trump take action to shoot down Syrian planes. Deadly nerve chemical is banned. The Turkish health ministry said that the chemical used in the attack was most likely a deadly nerve agent called sarin. It left victims choking, convulsing, and foaming at the mouth. The World Health Organization said Wednesday that some of the victims showed signs that indicate it was a chemical weapon, which is banned under the Convention on Chemical Weapons Treaty. Trump said he had been deeply affected by the images of victims coming out of Syria, especially young children. Trump administration reverses position on Syria. Just 1 week prior, Secretary Tillerson suggested that the United States would be less involved in Syria. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, indicated that removing Assad from power was no longer important. While he was president, Barack Obama repeatedly called for Assad to step down. Tillerson seemed to change his mind after the chemical attacks. Assad's role in the future is uncertain clearly, and with acts that he Assad's role in the future is uncertain clearly, and with the acts that he has taken, he told reporters. That makes no sense. Syria's government carried out chemical attacks in 2013, killing hundreds. However, the United States did not respond with missile attacks at that time. Instead, the U.S. and Russia worked out an agreement. Syria would destroy its chemical weapons and join the international treaty that bans them. Tillerson and Trump thought about that history when deciding to launch Thursday's attacks. In his statement on the attacks, Trump said years of previous attempts at changing Assad's behavior had failed. As long as America stands for justice, then peace and harmony will in the end prevail, Trump said. What I'd like for you to do at this point is I'd like for you to write down what the problem in this article was and what Trump did to resolve that problem. After you're done with that, what I'd like for you to do is draw a cartoon, one that has Trump, Assad, and a Russian who are all together, and have them have speech bubbles to show their point of view on what's going on in Syria.